Welcome to Ask Prep, your trusted companion for NEET and JEE preparation. Today we will study about a very important topic of biology, which is photosynthesis in higher plants, light reaction, Calvin cycle. Photosynthesis is the most fundamental biological process on Earth. It is the mechanism through which green plants, algae, and some bacteria capture light energy from the sun and convert it into chemical energy stored in glucose. This process not only provides food for nearly all life forms but also maintains the atmospheric balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide. In higher plants, photosynthesis occurs primarily in the leaves, particularly in the chloroplasts, which are specialized organelles housing the machinery needed for the process. At its core, photosynthesis is an oxidation-reduction reaction. Carbon dioxide is reduced to glucose, while water is oxidized to oxygen. The overall process is endergonic, meaning it requires an input of energy, which is supplied by sunlight. This process occurs in two main stages, the light reaction and the dark reaction, also known as the Calvin cycle. The light reaction takes place in the thylakoid membranes of the chloroplasts. This is the phase where sunlight is captured and used to split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. The absorbed light energy is converted into chemical energy in the form of two molecules, ATP and NADPH. These energy-rich molecules are then used in the Calvin cycle for the synthesis of glucose. The light reaction begins with the absorption of light by pigments, mainly chlorophyll A. Other pigments like chlorophyll B, carotenoids, and xanthophylls assist in capturing a broader range of wavelengths. When chlorophyll molecules absorb light, their electrons become excited and jump to a higher energy level. These high-energy electrons are transferred through a series of proteins known as the electron transport chain, located in the thylakoid membrane. This chain includes key components like plastoquinone, cytochrome B6F complex, plastocyanin, and finally, the photosystems, photosystem II and photosystem I. Water molecules are split in a process called photolysis, releasing electrons, protons, and molecular oxygen. The electrons released from water replace those lost by chlorophyll in photosystem II, while oxygen is released as a byproduct into the atmosphere. As the excited electrons move through the electron transport chain, they release energy, which is used to pump protons from the stroma into the thylakoid lumen, creating a proton gradient. This gradient is essential for the synthesis of ATP. The protons then flow back into the stroma through an enzyme called ATP synthase, which uses the energy of this movement to synthesize ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate. Meanwhile, the electrons that reach photosystem I are re-excited by light and eventually transferred to NADPH to form NADPH, another energy carrier molecule. Thus, the light reaction produces ATP and NADPH, which are both required in the next stage of photosynthesis. This phase does not produce sugar directly but provides the energy and reducing power needed for the synthesis of carbohydrates in the Calvin cycle. The Calvin cycle, often referred to as the dark reaction or light-independent reaction, takes place in the stroma of the chloroplast. Despite being called the dark reaction, it doesn't necessarily occur in darkness. It is called so because it does not directly require light. However, it is entirely dependent on the products of the light reaction, ATP and NADPH. The Calvin cycle is a cyclic pathway involving a series of enzyme-mediated steps that convert carbon dioxide into glucose. The cycle begins when carbon dioxide from the atmosphere enters the chloroplast and combines with a 5-carbon compound called ribulose bisphosphate. This reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme RuBisCO, which is one of the most abundant enzymes on Earth. The product of this reaction is a 6-carbon compound that immediately splits into two molecules of a 3-carbon compound. These 3-carbon molecules are then reduced using the energy from ATP and the reducing power of NADPH to form high-energy 3-carbon sugars. Some of these sugars are used to regenerate the original 5-carbon compound, allowing the cycle to continue. Others are used to synthesize glucose and other carbohydrates, which serve as food for the plant and, ultimately, for all other organisms. The entire Calvin cycle must turn multiple times to produce a single molecule of glucose. It is a highly regulated and efficient process, tightly controlled by the availability of ATP, NADPH, and carbon dioxide. The cycle also relies on the proper functioning of enzymes and the internal pH and temperature of the plant cell. Photosynthesis is not just a biochemical process, it is a lifeline for life on Earth. The oxygen we breathe is a direct product of photosynthesis. The glucose produced fuels the metabolism of not only plants but also animals and humans who consume plant matter either directly or indirectly. Moreover, photosynthesis acts as a carbon sink, helping to regulate the levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and thus playing a critical role in controlling global climate. Higher plants have also evolved adaptations to perform photosynthesis efficiently under different environmental conditions. While the Calvin cycle is common to all plants, certain plants like those in arid regions follow alternate pathways such as C4 and CAM cycles. These adaptations help minimize water loss and optimize carbon fixation under extreme conditions, making the process of photosynthesis highly versatile and responsive to nature. To truly appreciate photosynthesis, one must look beyond the textbook and see it as a marvel of biological engineering. It is a symphony of light capture, electron movement, energy conversion, and carbon assimilation happening quietly in every green leaf. This process is not only essential for individual plant growth but for the sustenance of ecosystems and the entire biosphere. Photosynthesis is elegant, essential, and efficient. And for every NEET or G aspirant, it is a topic that connects basic biology with environmental science, agriculture, and even space exploration, where scientists are trying to recreate this process for sustaining life on other planets. Mastering this topic will not only help you score marks but will deepen your appreciation for the green world around you. Thank you so much for being a part of the Ask Prep community. We truly appreciate your time and dedication to learning, especially when it comes to mastering biology, a subject that's not only essential for exams like NEET and G. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends who are also preparing, and make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an update.